Well, bakers, a huge recipe on my website right now are my 2-ingredient bagels. You heard me right, just 2 ingredients, Greek yogurt and self-raising flour. They are so simple to make and people are loving them, so I thought I would bring you a video. The first thing you want to do is put a pot on your stovetop, fill it with water and bring it to a simmer. So the first ingredient we're going to talk about is self-raising flour. Now you can buy this in most supermarkets, however, it can be a bit tricky to find, and that is why I have a recipe on biggerbolderbaking.com. It is simple. All you need is for every 1 cup of all-purpose flour, you add in 2 teaspoons of baking powder. That's it. Super simple. So you can make it at home really easily. So I have that in my bowl here. And if you want to make these bagels gluten-free, you totally can with a gluten-free 1-for-1 substitute. They work great. Our next ingredient is yogurt. Now, for the recipe, I call for Greek yogurt only. It's thicker, it's higher in protein, it's really good for you. If you only have plain, you will need to use less plain yogurt. It is not a 1-for-1 swap, so just factor that in. I wrote all that information on the website post. So all we're going to do is just add one into the other, just like this. And let me tell you, if you find Greek yogurt hard to come by also, or you happen to have a lot of milk, you can make your own Greek yogurt. And I also have a recipe on my website. Now, all you have to do is just mix these 2 ingredients together until they form your dough. Now, let me tell you something I've learned about yogurt over the years of running my website and my YouTube channel. Yogurt all over the world is different. It is different consistencies. That's why I ask you to use Greek first, but even your Greek yogurt might be thinner than mine. So here's what we're going to do. You mix your dough together until it forms a ball. And if you find it's a little bit on the dry side, add a few tablespoons more yogurt. You just want enough yogurt to bring it all together. Less is definitely more. Don't add in too much yogurt. What I like to do is actually go in with my hands and bring the dough together at the last minute. So once your dough comes together, just like this, and it forms a ball, I'm just going to knead it a tiny bit on my countertop to get it to come together, like so. As you can see, it's a tight dough. It's not too sticky or anything like that. So this is what you're going for. So here's our dough. And unlike a yeasted dough, we can use this straight away. So I'm going to divide it into 6 pieces. Here I have a little bit of flour and I'm just going to form them into a ball. Because this is not a yeasted dough, it's easier to work with and manipulate. It's not springing back the way a yeasted dough would. So you can easily form them into a little ball. And just so you know, the smoother you get that ball, the less kind of creases your bagel will have in the end. So the moment I released this recipe on my website, people went nuts for it. It's so easy to make. Most people had the ingredients already. And you get really yummy bagels. Now, they're not traditional New York bagels. You know, they're made with flour and yogurt, but they're still really good. And they definitely look the part. And they have a nice chew because we're also going to boil them like you would a traditional bagel. There we go, we have our 6 balls. So you want to flatten these out until they're around 4 inches in diameter. In and around there, 3.5, 4. So now here's my trick. I always do this when I need a tiny cutter. I get a piping nozzle. This is 1 inch in diameter and this is going to be what cuts out the circle in our bagel. So right down the middle, just like that. You might want to put a little bit of flour on it. And then right down the middle. I do this all the time and it's such a handy little trick. And just so you know, this is a really versatile recipe. If you've got a group of people coming over, you can easily double it to make 12 bagels. No problem. Look at that. How gorgeous are those and how fast was that? They're actually ready, so let's put them on our tray lined with parchment. Let's head over to the stovetop, or as we say in Ireland, the cooker, and let's boil them off. Follow me. So these are so fast to put together. Your water is probably ready by the time you come over to it, just the way mine is. With this, we want simmering water. You don't want like rapidly boiling water. So just, you know, medium heat. So I put 3 in my pan and you want to boil them for around 30 to 40 seconds on each side. Now, you always boil a traditional bagel. And the thing about boiling, and we tried this when we were testing this recipe, it does give you a chewier exterior. It also gives you a shinier bagel. We tried not boiling them and it just wasn't as good. So definitely don't skip this step. Flip them over after around the 30-second mark. And it also stops them expanding too much. It kind of seals the outside. So when they go into the oven, they're not going to expand anymore. Lovely. I will tell you that when you make this dough, you do want to like start to cook it off straight away. This dough will not hang around. Once the yogurt hits the raising agent in the self-raising flour, it will start to activate. You can even see with mine, they puffed up a little bit. It means that it's starting to move. So you don't want to make this dough and put it in the fridge. You want to cook it off straight away. This is a really fun recipe to make with kids because it's kind of instant gratification, which is hard to get when you're making bread. It's always a longer process. So these are looking good. I'm going to take them out now. Make sure you have tongs and a lifter, a drainer. There's 3. And then I'll go in with my remaining 3. The boiling also gives your bagels texture. As you can see, it kind of crinkles the exterior of your bagel. Now you might have noticed that there's no salt in this dough, and salt is so important in bread making, and I say that a lot. However, in the United States and in some countries, they add salt to store-bought self-raising flour. That's why I don't add it. If you want to add a pinch because you're making your own, or in your country it doesn't have salt, I don't think in Ireland it has salt, then feel free to add in a pinch if you want, but I don't think it's needed. Okay, lovely. Those are our 6 bagels. I'm going to turn off my water. These guys are looking good. Fantastic. Let's head over to the countertop. We're going to top them and then bung them in the oven. So the great thing about these bagels is that they're customizable. You can put on any toppings that you like. I love bagels and I like all the toppings. So the first thing you want to do is egg wash them to make sure that they get lovely and brown all over, just like that. Here I have some everything seasoning, which luckily you can buy in most stores nowadays. And I'm just going to dip my bagel in there because it just ensures you get the most of everything. And because an everything bagel is my go-to favorite, not for my teeth, but for my tummy, I'm going to do 2. I'm also going to do sesame and plain, and I'm also going to show you how you can do a cheese one too. So I'm just going to finish egg washing these. Then for plain, just make sure you do a nice bit of egg wash. And then for cheese, we are going to egg wash those. And the best thing when making a cheese bagel is put the cheese on when they're almost finished baking. If you put it on too early, it gets really hard and it overcooks. So you want to just prepare it with some egg wash, pop them into the oven. Towards the end of baking, pop on your cheese. So I have a funny story about bagels. When we used to come to the United States as kids on our vacation, my dad used to go to a stand in Grand Central Station in New York, just one guy in a cart, and he used to buy all his bagels. He'd clean them out of bagels, we'd put them in a suitcase and we'd take them home. We adored bagels, and these bagels that we used to get were H&H bagels, which were famous in New York. They are so good. They're not around anymore. I still have such fond memories of being at that guy's cart and my dad saying like, give me all the bagels. So any type of bagel always reminds me of my dad. Okay, lovely. And just like that, they're ready to be baked. Bake your bagels at 350 degrees Fahrenheit, 180 degrees Celsius for around 35 to 45 minutes. You want them to be nice and golden brown. Now, if you want to do a cheese bagel, pop on your slice of cheese around 10 minutes before they're finished baking. This will make it nice and bubbly, but not too hard. These bagels look amazing. I'm delighted with how they turned out. They're golden brown on the outside and nice and soft and fluffy on the inside. This recipe is fantastic to have on hand to bake with kids if you're having a brunch or for a quick breakfast. It's really an ideal dough. Considering you made your own lovely homemade bagels, I recommend going all out and serving it with all the trimmings. I love smoked salmon, some red onion and capers. It's my absolute favorite. And of course, do not forget the cream cheese. These bagels are soft on the inside, crisp on the outside. They smell amazing and they definitely hit the spot. I love these bagels, and the fact that they're only 2 ingredients makes it even better. Definitely stick around if you want to see lots more videos just like this one, and I'll see you back here again really soon.